Welcome. Welcome all to this talk. I only have 15 minutes, so I thought I will dress up like this. Then the chance that I get kicked out after 15 minutes is less than normal suit, right? So I want to take you on if my clicker works. Yeah, I want to take you on my journey as a Sensei and what I learned from it, also in the development world and etc. So my name is Roy Braam. I work for Open Value. I'm the director of the Amsterdam office, which is a consultancy company in the Netherlands. And I'm doing development work for over 20 years now, and I'm doing karate for over 30 years. And while doing both things, I saw a lot of overlap. Like, I love being in a dojo, I love doing coding katas and katas, and I love karate. I also love writing features, and sometimes I break production. So first start with the word sensei. So what is a sensei actually? So I really love how the Japanese kanji style is working, like the signs, because sensei consists of two signs, and in kanji a sign is a concept, not actually a letter or a word, so it's a concept where sen actually means something like earlier or before, and sai is a bit more difficult. It means something like a living being that is learning, free translated of course. So if you look at sensei, it's somebody like somebody that came before, or somebody that's ahead of other people. For some of you, you probably know it as a teacher. So in the old Japan, it's not only used as a teacher, but sometimes other people also got the title sensei, like a doctor or a lawyer, for example. It actually indicates some sort of mastery, some sort of seniority of a person or in his profession. It's not something that you can learn or that you are getting while doing a course. It's something that you have to earn. If you look at software development, probably a sensei could be somebody that's more senior in your team, or somebody that's helping on improving others, or somebody that's doing a mentorship from somebody else. For some others, it's like Stack Overflow, right? That's probably your sensei, or ChatGPT, or any other IA tool. So there are many, many things I learned from being a sensei, so teaching others. And not only talking about teacher, but I'm also talking about sharing your knowledge, helping others, etc. I learned that teaching is really hard. So I already had like my third black belt, and I start teaching, and I found out that it's not easy. So being an expert is not enough, right? You really need to learn how to teach. And if you think that teaching somebody is difficult, then hello world with the long-term teaching. And with long-term teaching, I mean like getting somebody from A to B. You need to make a plan, you need to make sure that you're learning the right things, right? It will cost you a lot of devotion and energy. And I found out that the more energy I put into, the more I get out of it. And always you need to come prepared. If you not prepare yourself, you will find out that you are not able to improve others or help others as you could have done while being prepared. But although all those things is really worth it, I think sharing your knowledge, helping others is a beautiful thing to do. So I, of course, learned being a sensei or doing karate from my teacher. And he learned me in the beginning that being a sensei and helping others is something that has to do with respect. It's not only one-way respect, but it is respect both ways. And if you have respect for each other, there will be a safe environment. And there's only a way, you could only improve if there is a safe environment. And remember always that if you are a sensei or the more senior person in the team, you're always also an apprentice. I think I learned as much from my sensei as I learned from the pupils I teach. At some point, actually, while being a sensei for some time, my teacher gave me this book. I could really recommend it. Also, if you're not into martial arts, it's from Alice Emder, and he actually talks about old wise man in martial arts, about power and how they use it. And this book really made me think. Because it's also about you and me and our relationship to each other. It's also how hierarchy works in our environment or in our society. It's also about the abuse of power. Because although there's a bright side of being a sensei, like being an enabler, being a more senior person, being somebody that improves the others surrounding him, led by example, right? Leading by example, and also an inspiration to others, it's also somebody that you feel comfortable with while making mistakes. But there is also a darker side on this. There's an imbalance between the relationship, between the more senior persons and the more junior persons, especially with senior or senseis, for example. It happens in sports, it happens at work, right? There's sometimes also abuse of power. And this book really opened my mind, because this book is also about it. And I'm not saying that you should always walk on toes and not say the things that you want to say, but you should be aware that if there is a combination between a sensei or pupil or a more senior or junior, that there is an imbalance in a relationship. Sadly enough, I think we all know the Me Too discussions, right? So, here comes the dojo, which is the place where we, of course, learn how to karate do, right? Practice karate. And if you look at dojo, again, two signs, where do means the way and jo means the place. So it's the place of the way, actually. It's the place where we learn. It's a place where we help each other to improve. It's a place of respect, and it's always a safe place. Everybody's different, but everybody's equal as well. Because you need a safe environment to improve. If there's no safe environment, people can't improve. And that's actually the same with software development teams or on your work. There needs to be a safe environment so people can make mistakes, they learn from it, and they don't get blamed. And I think there's a special role in this for the senseis of your team, because the senseis of your team need to make sure that this safe environment is there. Because people improve best if they work in a safe environment. Coming to improving. So, I was actually a very traditional teacher. So if people in this picture, I had only one picture actually where I was teaching people, which was kind of weird to me actually. I had to really find out this one. But apparently people didn't listen to me. So I was a very traditional teacher. If people didn't listen, they had to do push-ups. It worked, right? Some are still doubting if they like it, but okay. So I was very busy with a traditional way of improving. So I observed what went wrong, I categorized the mistakes or the things that I could improve, and I start improving. And I always start, of course, improving the worst thing, because that's easy, right? If somebody's doing mistakes, I start with these kind of things. And we called it the code rack technique. It's not an official technique, but we called it in our group of teachers, which actually meant that we picked on the lowest things, so the things that are the worst, and we tried to hang them higher in the code rack. So we start improving from bottom up. And we start improving the things that are worst, right? Like I said. This is my sensei, Johan van der Hoofdakker, a Dutch guy. He's been teaching over 40 years. So he's into karate for over 60 years already. So 12 years ago, he came to me and he said, "We're doing this all wrong." So he's actually, imagine like a teacher that's really teaching for a long time. He's telling me, "We are teaching the wrong way." And we went on a journey together. So we actually became apprentices again, right? And we went on this journey by checking how others are doing this, right? Because we don't want to invent the wheel the same again and again. So we went to lectures, to theaters, we went even to other coaches of other sports. And we found out that there was a group of teams that were pretty successful. So, do you see anybody, any things that they have in common? Oh, they're all orange, yes. Very good. They're all winners as well, right? Actually, they have one different thing in common, which is the coaches behind these teams. So these coaches behind these teams are a bit different. They actually didn't focus, like this is like around 15 years ago, they start doing this. They didn't focus on the things that are going not so well. They focused on the things that are going the best. So if somebody is very good with his left arm, they kept on practicing the left arm and didn't concern about the right arm. Because they found out that if they focus on the positive things, the rest will come. So while improving the things that are already going pretty well, the teams improved also on the things that are doing worse. And they called it positive coaching, or positive teaching, feedback, improving, it doesn't really matter. It has a set of rules. You have to always observe what's positive and don't focus on the negative things. Always be task-oriented and not result-oriented. Value effort instead of result. Create a culture where it's okay to fail. Give constructive feedback, and that's something I find sometimes difficult to do. What I teach myself is that I do a if-then sandwich. So I say, for example, if I look at software development, if somebody don't write tests, I don't say in the pull request, you forgot your tests, but I'm saying him, if you write tests, our code quality will be better, right? And at least give 3 compliments. And I know this is really hard for some people. Try it, right? It won't harm you. And another one is ask open questions, because if you ask open questions, that's the only way you could listen to others, right? If you don't ask open questions, people won't tell you things. And the most important thing, mean it, because if you're doing this list just because I told you, then it won't work. And well, 12 years ago, I found out that it's everywhere. So I found out that it was at my school of my kids. I found out that it's in a lot of big sporting federations in the Netherlands. I found out that big sportsmen are doing it as well. I even, when I came to here, I went by train. I even come across a van which says positive coaching. So this was at a theater, so they're giving theater sessions about this. And it works, because it's proven, right? We saw that these teams are doing well, they improve themselves, and it just works. So how about software development, right? We have the same set of rules. So if we look at observe and what's positive, then I see, for example, a lot of times in the red rows that we put the things that are good, the things that are bad, and we put easily aside all the good things, and we start focusing on the things that went bad last sprint, right? Why not focus on the things that were going positive, right? That's also something that you should be mentioning, right? And if you're focusing on the bad things, why are they coming out at the end of the sprint? And why not right away during the sprint? Are they that important to wait for them 2 weeks? If you look in Jira, you see a lot of user stories that are really result-oriented instead of actually saying what you should do, right? There's not task-oriented, but they're really result-oriented. Start making tasks like task-oriented, like they should be. And for everybody that has kids, they know how to do this, right? You get a picture or a drawing from your kid. Well, I got lots of them. None are good, but I do effort the effort, right? I do really like it. Don't tell my kids. I hope they don't watch this recording. The other thing that I want to say is that because nobody's doing their best to make mistakes, right? Everybody needs to be judged by their effort. And create a failure or a culture where it's okay to fail. And as a senior person, you should make sure that if somebody fails, it not the whole building burns down, right? It's your job to fix it. And also tell them, like, hey, this is a team effort, it's okay to make mistakes, right? If somebody steps up and does something really tough for him and he makes a mistake, then it's a good thing, right? It's again the effort that he puts into. And always give constructive feedback. Start with the pull request, right? It's easy to blame everybody that what's wrong, but also start like say, if you do this, then this will become better. And at least give 3 compliments. If you are looking at a pull request or watching somebody else's code, or you're doing some pair programming, You could also give him compliments, like, "Ah, man, you made one test, right? Very good, but you need to make more, right? Okay, let's also start making compliments." Actually, we tried this with at least 3 compliments, so we always try to give 3 compliments before we gave 1 negative point. And listen. And again, open questions, because if you ask open questions, you could listen, and it encourages the others to openness, honesty, and success, right? And the most important thing, mean it. This was a very short journey. It's time up. I hope nobody kicks me out. But I hope I got a small introduction about how you could look a bit different on improvements, and also how a senior person could really help the team of getting a good culture within the team. Thank you.